What's up guys, it's the Actual Justice Warrior here, and today we're going to talk about Cenk Uygur's nephew. Okay, so Politicon happened last week, and there were a number of debates involving a number of Young Turks hosts. Kasparian debated Ann Coulter, Cenk Uygur debated Ben Shapiro, and last week I truly thought that at this point I would probably be making a video about Cenk versus Ben. Now while there were good moments, and I do think Ben Shapiro won the debate, Cenk Uygur wasn't as bad as he was in previous debates, like the one he had with Dinesh D'Souza, where he just kept ad-homing him. He did attack the crowd by calling them uneducated when they laughed at him saying that higher taxes lead to economic growth.
The reason why when taxes are higher, it winds up being better for the economy is because it recirculates the money. So if you give it to the rich, this is hilarious. If you're uneducated, please at least don't make it obvious.
He brought up money recirculation and demanded that people in the audience should Google it.
So if you don't know the concept of recirculation of money, then go look it up.
Ironically, what he actually meant was the multiplier effect, which is when you give money to people that have to spend it immediately, and they put it into the economy, and that supposedly creates a multiplier. Money recirculation is like when there's a special coin, like the Kennedy $50, and it's out of circulation, and then the mint decides to put it back into circulation, so it actually has no effect on the fucking economy whatsoever. It's only a thing for, like, currency collectors or coin collectors.
If you're uneducated, please at least don't make it obvious.
But other than that, it wasn't so bad that I felt like I could justify making a whole video based on that debate. Cenk's post-debate pathetic attempt to smear Ben Shapiro and conservatives? Possibly. But the debate itself? He was decent in it. The same is true for the Anna Kasparian versus Ann Coulter debate. I could yank out a few clips of Anna virtue signaling and calling Ann Coulter racist, even though what she said wasn't actually racist. It was just a sentence that contained the word black and Spanish in it.
So, in that long-winded rant, you proceeded to insult people in a racist way and then have the audacity to say that our immigration policies are racist or allowing more immigrants in would lead to more racism. It's absurd.
How is anything I said racist?
How is what you said? You just talked about people speaking Spanish and how parents don't want to hear that because they're concerned that their kids might want to end up working at McDonald's. You're assuming that people are coming into this country.
No, you weren't listening.
Yeah.
No, there was a testimony before Congress from LA communities where black witnesses were going in saying, my kid applied to the local McDonald's, they wouldn't hire him because he didn't speak Spanish. It is mostly black communities that are being overwhelmed with illegal immigrants, and to be mocking them and saying they're afraid of Spanish people, I think is very dismissive and insulting.
But again, not enough to make a whole video on. But then somebody told me that I had to watch Cenk Uygur's nephew debate Charlie Kirk, and this debate was god fucking awful. For Cenk's nephew, Charlie Kirk actually did a really good job. He actually stayed on message. He didn't spend the whole time ad-homing. And what's amazing about how pathetic Cenk's nephew's performance was, is I was literally expecting nothing from him. This is a photo that Cenk's nephew put on his own Instagram. Now you might be thinking, oh well, that's not really that bad. The dude likes the way he looks and he's just putting his face on his Instagram. No problem there. You might ask yourself, how does something like that lower my expectations so much that I was literally expecting nothing? I challenge you to go onto his Instagram and look through his photos. No joke, just like a 14-year-old girl, this dude posts pictures of himself and then adds unrelated paragraphs so he doesn't seem so douchey always posting pictures of himself. Underneath this photo, for example, is a caption about healthcare. What connection is there that this photo has to Trump care? Absolutely nothing. Alright, let's get into the debate.
Just a peaceful protest, protesting, taking down Robert E. Lee monuments where we, just light torches on fire. It's not that big of a deal. It's not reminiscent of the KKK in any way, shape, or form.
That's right, it took the dude about 10 seconds to bring up the KKK in his opening statement. Remember, this debate is about free speech on college campuses, and he is referencing a case that is completely unrelated to that topic. The torches outside the Confederate monument wasn't on a college campus, and has nothing to do with the guy's organization that he's debating. Cenk's nephew brings this up so he can start smearing his opponent right away. He later tries to connect Richard Spencer to his opponent by pointing out that the same free speech law firm took up a case for Richard Spencer that defended them in another case. But here's why that logic completely falls apart in like half a second. The ACLU has defended the Westboro Baptist Church in free speech cases. Does that mean that every other group of people that are represented by the ACLU are linked to the Westboro Baptist Church, he would obviously say no. But he's perfectly comfortable smearing this guy with it. One of the next lines of nonsense argumentation he brings up is a kid that killed himself at Rutgers University in, I believe, 2013.
Actually, at Rutgers University, Tyler Clementi committed suicide. It was national news, and after that, they created the Rainbow Dorms, if I remember correctly. And you come to a diverse campus where people should tolerate you, and then you're bullied by your roommate for something that you can't change about yourself, and you are looking for a safe space. A safe space would have saved Tyler Clementi's life. So when you're against safe spaces, you're essentially against people that feel like they've been victimized, that do end up harming themselves or committing suicide even in the worst case possible.
He proclaims that if this kid had a safe space, he probably wouldn't have killed himself. Except when you look into the story, the kid didn't kill himself because he heard a conservative speaker, got triggered, and jumped off a bridge. He was secretly recorded in his dorm room by his roommate, who then showed that video to a shit ton of people. So explain to me how safe spaces would have saved this guy's life. Are you for segregating gays in their own dorms? Do you want them to use different water fountains too? Are you that regressive? Again, this is another smear tactic. He's saying that your speech causes people to kill themselves, but he's using a case where speech didn't cause a kid to kill himself. So he's essentially standing on the grave of this dead kid in order to promote his political agenda. Great debate tactic. Now, while I'm only showing you a few clips from this hour-long debate, I assure you the entire debate was this guy personally attacking him and bringing up irrelevant information. Here's a mashup of all the times this dude brought up popularity as a reason why it's okay to censor conservatives on campus.
You run an organization that tries to indoctrinate youths to an unpopular idea, but it doesn't give you the right to be popular. At the end of the day, it's very difficult to elect someone that's unlikable.
I'm famous, you're not. So how does it make you a debater? I have a lot more money. Okay, so listen to me.
People into progressive ideologies,
enlightening and exposing, not
You're not famous, you're relevant. You're like, I'm attractive as f***. I make a lot of money.
You're that too, but if you're not popular, if you say unpopular things, you're not popular.
When he comes on.
I agree with that. I think Ben Shapiro should be able to speak on college campuses.
That's the problem.
But if he can't, because he's so unpopular, so why do you think there's so much backlash against these ideas if they're not unpopular? There's a lot that's wrong with the conservative movement. I'm sorry.
Well,
which is why it's unpopular.
You are a peasant.
Did you really storm the stage when you came to speak?
Yeah.
Man, you should. I sucks that you're not that popular. I don't know what to say.
Oh, that's weird. I seem to have mixed up some clips of Cenk's nephew from the debate with clips of another person who thinks it's okay to be a complete and total fucking asshole because he has a certain amount of Instagram followers. Weird how those clips totally go together. He also attacked Charles Kirk's organization for its rich donors.
You instead try to game the system by feeding money from wealthy donors from Turning Point USA, feeding money into college campuses so that conservatives are disproportionately represented, and it still fails. Who are your donors?
Over 7,000 donors across the country. You want to see it? Go to our website.
Who are your biggest donors?
You want to name them? Go to our website. People that have started huge companies, people that have been very successful. Our average contribution is lower than Bernie Sanders' average contribution, so we're kind of proud of that.
You know, basically, you're bad because some of your money comes from bad people. Now, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I didn't look up any Turning Point USA donors, but I do know who gives money to TYT. TYT is partnered with AJ+. AJ+ is an offshoot of Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is the state-owned news agency in Qatar. Qatar is the nation that's most well known for having legal slavery. If you are one of the unfortunate people who were lured to Qatar with the promise of a better life, you can look forward to your employer seizing your passport and not being able to change jobs or leave the country without your employer's permission. So yeah, Turning Point USA might have a lot of big money corporate donors. But I'm fairly comfortable asserting that I'd rather my organization get money from corporate donors that may do pollution or may have ulterior motives over money that comes from slavery. And it should be a little weird how this dude is obsessed with the abstract ramifications of slavery that ended 150 years ago, but is okay directly taking money from a nation that permits slavery. Some would say that's hypocritical, but I'm sure Cenk's nephew would call that white supremacy. Seriously, he says white supremacy over and over again.
You're the one who's afraid that white supremacy might potentially be checked, that misogyny, that patriarchy, that racism.
White supremacist, capitalist, intersectional, hierarchical patriarchy. Then he says he doesn't believe Charles Kirk is promoting white supremacy, and immediately walks that back and says he's supporting white supremacy.
Like, I don't think you genuinely advocate for white supremacy. I think certain policy positions that you may be on board with probably have this negative outcome that is resemblant of white supremacy, but
that wasn't two clips from far apart portions in the debate that I pieced together. That was literally the same fucking sentence. The same thought. I don't believe that you're promoting white supremacy, but you're promoting white supremacy. Brilliant. Cenk's nephew was so bad that even the moderator had to pull him back for going off topic.
A lot of interesting topics to discuss here, but personally attacking each other and each other's organization is not going to achieve the substance that I think people care about in this audience.
And even when it seemed like he was going to come back to reality and address the issues, he immediately descended back into white supremacist, racist, sexist, all the ad hominem attacks that you fucking expect from progressives.
What are some things that we can do to actually increase dialogue across political differences on campus?
Eradicate safe spaces, make sure that there's white supremacy everywhere on college campuses, and then maybe it'll be good again. Maybe we'll make America great again.
I get both of you on this, but what's your
Look, I'm obviously joking. I'm trying to, bring it back down a little bit.
It's amazing that he could say, oh, this time I was joking, even though I spent the whole hour calling you a white supremacist and a supporter of white supremacy. At one point, he even defends the Communist Manifesto.
It is the most read book in college today, number one.
I have no idea.
Communist Manifesto. The Communist Manifesto. It is. You can laugh. It's documented by the Council of Higher Education.
I wish more people read it and understood it then. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's contributed to the death of
Maybe
100 million people in the last 100 years.
Oh,
but
this narrative. Oh, okay. So before we started, we weren't going to talk about how you falsely equate democratic socialism into communism. But I guess if you want to go there, we could.
If we want to talk about the failures of Venezuela, Argentina, Brazil,
I love the way
Cuba,
you say
Western Europe, and everywhere Marxism has been tried, then let's talk about it.
Let's look at a
But I thought we were
libertarian
talking about
society.
free speech.
But you did, yeah.
Oh, if only people understood the Communist Manifesto. Then the thing that always happens when those ideas are implemented on society won't happen. You know, the left reminds me of a Discovery Channel or True TV special that I saw a few years back called Urban Tigers or something like that. And basically it's a series of stories of what happens when somebody brings a wild tiger into an urban environment. Every single segment, without exemption, ends exactly the same way, with the tiger attacking the person who thinks it's okay to live with a wild animal. And the left is basically the guy who watches that special and expects it to work out for at least one of the stories. Oh, it's gonna be different. This is a democratic tiger. You see, we put the word democratic in front of it, and now it's gonna work better. I mean, seriously, when Hugo Chavez died, TYT did a video about how he wasn't all bad, and he really did a lot of good things, and the conservative propaganda about how bad Venezuela is totally false and untrue. And now that it's painfully obvious that in Venezuela, just like in every other place that tried to implement these ideas, it's completely falling apart, the left just declares that this wasn't true socialism, if only they understood it better.
I wish more people read it and understood it then. I don't know.
Then it would have been alright in Venezuela. When are people gonna start calling leftists communist deniers or socialist deniers? Because A, they're denying economic reality, and they repeatedly support these dictators as examples of how socialism can work in the beginning, and then pretend like they never said any of that shit when it all falls apart. Venezuela, one of the wealthiest countries in Latin America before Hugo Chavez. Now people are digging through garbage and killing dogs in the streets for food. Their capital now has one of the most violent crime rates in all of Latin America. But I wish they would understand the Communist Manifesto.
I wish more people read it and understood it then. I don't know.
If only they understood the Communist Manifesto.
I wish more people read it and understood it then, I don't know.
Fuck you. Now, of course, the best moment in terms of cringe, which would be the worst moment for Cenk's nephew, would be this clip.
They say, many of these campuses go out and say, for example, when they disinvite Ben Shapiro at DePaul University, they say so many students are offended by his remarks, he should not be allowed to show up on campus. It feeds
Maybe he should be
into-
less offensive.
You shouldn't shut down speech because it's offensive, but if you don't want your speech shut down, don't be offensive.
I agree with that. I think Ben Shapiro should be able to speak on college campuses.
That's the problem.
But
That's
if he
what the
can't,
problem is.
but if
I'm
he
telling
can't
you the
because
problem.
he's so unpopular, then don't do it on a college campus.
Again, pure brilliance from Cenk's nephew. Jesus fucking Christ, like Charles Kirk came out looking like a saint in this. Honestly, that's all I really have for you guys today. This was such a horrific performance, I had to address it. I literally had zero expectations watching the video, and this dude somehow underperformed. I know a lot of you in my audience hate Cenk and Anna, but this dude by far is the worst person at the Young Turks. And the crazy thing is, as far as I could tell, he's literally the only Young Turk on staff. If you like this video, then please show me by giving a like. If you'd like to support me, you can do so through PayPal or Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Subscribe for more content. This has been the Actual Justice Warrior. Till next time.